D2.
Welcome to the D2 podcast, where we talk about sports, culture, politics, and whatever else is on our minds these days.
If there's anyone out there, please like, subscribe.
Desperately.
If you watch us and you really like what you see,
Yeah, I'll probably cut out that.
it won't hurt to like and subscribe.
Okay. That's enough begging. All right. So it's a very special nighttime edition of the D2
Prime time edition. We're in prime time now.
A very special occasion because of the rise of fascism in America and possibly the end of civil society as we know it. No, I'm being dramatic, but a lot has happened this past week, Dave. So
Life goes on.
The Trump presidency part 2.
Yep.
And lots to look forward to.
Yeah.
Apparently. So your initial thoughts?
I wasn't surprised, actually. I mean, I did go out on a limb and say Kamala would win based on, I was really hoping that, I thought that abortion was an issue with many women that would hit home. But Unfortunately, the thing was that it looks like the stats were 50-50, like people who were pro-abortion voted 50% Trump, 50% Kamala. So I know Trump did not really win or run a great campaign. That's my opinion. The only thing was that
wait, hold on a second. You don't think like
no, he didn't run a great campaign.
Like having a Nazi-style convention was a good idea, or
Nazi-style Tony Hinchcliffe. That was. I mean, if it was a comedy routine, it might have been kind of funny.
Oh wait, hold on a second. You don't believe that him saying to women, "I'm going to protect you whether you like it or not," was a good strategic political move? Are you saying that?
He didn't run a great campaign. I've heard people on TV say now after the fact that he won, they're saying, "Oh, he ran a great campaign and Kamala didn't." But actually, I think he did not run a great campaign.
Wait, you're telling me that choosing the most awkward doofus as your VP candidate was not a good move?
I'll tell you this.
You're also saying that
this is why he won. All right. Like I said, I thought that maybe abortion was an issue that would be hit close to home because it's a life and death thing for a lot of young women. Of
course, yeah.
So I thought, they might vote based on that. But it turns out that it looks like Trump was successful in basically saying he wasn't really going to do anything about banning or making a nationwide ban on abortion. He was like saying it was, he just wanted it to go to the states. And I think a lot of people knew deep down that he really wasn't that pro-life, I guess. And that just kind of like, in a way, it wasn't that big of an issue.
Okay.
I mean, in 2022. So with that aside, there really is, I mean, he had everything else in his favor, I think, inflation, the economy, I think the metrics were there for a good economy, but the thing was that a lot of people, like working class people, didn't feel that it was going in their favor. They actually felt that it was much worse. Their pocketbooks were hit hard under the Biden years versus the Trump years. So, I mean, it was really, Kamala was, given that fact, Kamala was kind of like fighting uphill.
Okay.
So
let's take a step back and let's try to look at it sort of objectively, right? Trump, I believe Trump ran one of the silliest, worst campaigns ever. Like, he made pretty much every goddamn mistake possible in the book. He didn't lay out any policies. He had no policies. Let's just be honest, right? He had ideas about policies, supposedly. And then he throws in all this racist rhetoric and just goes to like name calling and offers nothing, right? but it was all about people feeling like they can't pay their bills anymore. I mean, you're right. It is all about economics. That's all people give two shits about anymore.
No, I think it's always been like that.
Yes, and no.
Unless it's, basically you have an incumbency administration, right? And Kamala was unable to basically differentiate herself from Biden. And the economy was, for most people, working class people, they're going to compare, and this is the first time you can see Trump has already been president. And for some reason, maybe, they're looking at it from maybe a little foggy goggles. But
that's the crazy thing.
The thing is that they feel that they were better off under Trump versus Biden because of inflation and all these other metrics. Basically, things are getting tougher and tougher economically. And so that's the bottom line.
Okay. See, there's like so many arguments to be made that this economy is booming. Okay. We're at record highs.
It's booming if you're rich.
We're at record highs for
a nice stock portfolio.
Stock markets, crypto. I mean, people are making more money than before. Unemployment is at record lows. We have the best economy in the world right now, period. Right?
I mean,
and despite this, people still think that 4 years ago it was better, and we were in the middle of fucking COVID at the time. This is what is absolutely, it's like completely overwhelms me how ignorant and stupid people like Americans are. It's just
I don't think you can blame them. I mean, they're probably looking at the first 3 years of Trump administration, and look, I'm not saying Trump should be given credit for this first 3 years. I think a lot of things were just like, it was just kind of cruise control. Basically, everything was already set up.
Of course, yeah.
And the stock market was continuing. He didn't ruin anything under that Obama did. And stock market did well. I mean,
we also have to
everything
remember,
did well.
He doubled the national debt.
Yeah.
Okay, and that was going to hit the economy hard at some point.
And,
right?
I think, but the thing is, people aren't really that aware of all the political issues. And then I think, Trump was successful in basically saying, I get a hall pass for COVID.
Yeah.
And I think, Biden's administration was not successful in, enduring the working class people. I think the first 2 years, it was okay. I mean, he was, with COVID, he was giving a lot of people a lot of things, right? Free, with the child tax credit and all these other, handing out COVID relief and stuff. But a lot of those things ended after 2 years. And I think there's stats which show that there's certain things where he's mentioning COVID relief and all these other things. After 2 years, the focus was on something else. And obviously at that time, his approval rating just sank.
His approval rating was at pretty much,
it dropped down to
record lows.
It was like 50, and then it dropped down to
it's like in the
below 40 at times.
Low 40s, yeah. And at the beginning of the campaign, when he first started out, it's like it was such a low point that there was no way for Harris to make up that differential.
I mean, he stopped all the relief. There was that, I know for college loans, there was that time where, especially actually before COVID and during Trump's years, that there was kind of the time where you just didn't, I forget what it's called, where you don't have to pay college loans for a while and things aren't, the interest rates aren't going up and stuff. But and then that ended though during his administration. He didn't do nothing to do it. I don't think he did enough to really, a lot of his proposals, he just didn't do, like minimum wage, raising the minimum wage for a lot of things, the Build Back Better thing. He tried half-heartedly, you can say, and he kind of blamed it.
You have to consider that you need Congress to pass those.
Well, he blamed it on the parliamentarians saying something, but all of a sudden when they need to raise the debt, then he's like, oh, they were able to pass the parliamentarian. So it was more of an excuse. I don't think he was really trying. I mean, it sounds like he really wasn't trying to do that. And the bottom line is he didn't get those passed. And then, the inflation happened.
Again, people aren't following that minutia.
Right. Basically, but when they have those actual, policies that affect people, then they're gonna it's actually gonna help him. It's gonna help the administration. Have their approval process is going to be at least around 50%.
The bottom line was,
but he dropped.
The average voter out there was thinking, I am paying too much for goddamn corn chips and chicken, it's like my eggs cost too much, and I can't afford the usual crap that I usually buy anymore. So I think Trump is going to change everything, and
they want to give
good
him
luck,
a chance.
America. Good luck. I mean,
they want to give him a chance, and that's the America has spoken. He won the popular vote this time.
Yeah, which blows my mind.
But I think also that
so
Harris.
Let's say
I think Trump didn't run a great campaign, but I think Harris actually. I mean, she started off good, and like I said, once she pivoted to a different direction, started trying to win these never Trump Republicans.
See, I don't think that was her downfall, though. I don't think that was her downfall.
The polls show, even the weird polls showed that she dropped after she pivoted right away.
Yeah, but I don't think that accounts for the big differences in votes.
I think you have to really separate yourself from Biden, which she didn't do.
Which she definitely did not do.
I think that she had to
because the economy was good. That's why.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, the metrics showed that, but I don't think people felt that. And I think also that she started off good with talking about the policies, which was good, and then that's when she started right away. People didn't even know her that well, and she just jumped because she started talking about policies, all these things about giving people money to buy towards a down payment for a house, going against private equity firms in order to lower housing costs. Making part of home health care, Medicare, part of Medicare, all these things people are going to respond to. And, and then she picked Tim Walz, who was also very successful in bringing all sorts of issues of working class people. Her approval, even though a lot of people didn't even know her, she jumped. And then all of a sudden, what happened? She stopped doing interviews. She stopped doing interviews.
I think all of that.
Okay, let me talk. She stopped doing interviews. She started pivoting, started talking about businesses, Mark Cuban, all these things. Liz Cheney, again, who has trying to win Republicans over, talking about all these things. Bottom line is she didn't talk about her policies anymore. She stopped really interviewing with a lot of people. She went on The View and said she's not really that different from Biden. Tim Walz didn't really talk that much later. And, another thing was that I mentioned, Joe Rogan, I didn't think Trump really did anything by going on Joe Rogan. A lot of people think differently, maybe because even though he was talking to his support, a lot of people, I think a lot of people are saying they're young men, and they actually were more incentivized to go vote as opposed to maybe just sit home. But I think that was a mistake for Kamala not to go on, talk to Joe Rogan. I mean, that couldn't have hurt. And really, it was an uphill battle because of the economy. But I think it was, if you had any chance of winning, you had to do those things. And she did make mistakes.
Of course.
I think even, I don't know if they were looking back, but it looked like, in a lot of ways, it kind of looked like 2016, although she probably ran a better campaign than Hillary did.
Oh, yeah.
But I think 2020, they said Biden won, but that was only because of COVID, really.
Okay.
I think he would have lost if it wasn't for COVID.
That's certainly possible. I think ultimately it's just came down to my money doesn't go as far as it used to. That was the ultimate choice that all these people made.
I think
okay, hear me out. It's because all of these groups, right? You take Hispanics, Black people, and the working class, right? All of them incrementally increased for Trump by anywhere between a few percentage points all the way up to like 10 percentage points in Hispanics, which I found absolutely batshit insane. That blew my mind when I read that. 10%. Like, you're telling me that this guy who insulted Latinos and just made the most derogatory statements and basically said the most racist shit toward them for so long, and they're suddenly backing him?
I think
Trump, how does that even compute here?
Well, Trump was here's the thing was that he didn't really show any policies, but he gave people what the solution was. He ran as a populist, and we needed someone to really run as a populist on the Democrat side and to have any chance of winning.
So you felt like Harris was too establishment.
She started off giving nice policies, but then she pivoted, became trying to win, never Trumpers, trying to appeal to the Republicans, kind of like ignoring a little bit of her working class policies, ignoring the people who wanted, who were pro-Palestinian in Gaza, all these little things. But I think, she was in a tough situation because she, in a way, she had to, associate herself with Biden.
Okay.
But I think, so talking about that, the racist stuff you're talking about, he's talking about immigration.
I'm just referring to the specific, what he has said about Latinos and Hispanics.
Well,
starting out with his entire,
he made that
Mexicans are sending murderers and rapists
across the border. It's more of he's talking about immigration, and obviously it's racist when he's referring to the murderers and rapists. He's associating that with certain Latin American peoples, right?
Mexicans, Democrats tend to rely too much on nuanced arguments, whereas
Democrats,
whereas Republicans, their big strength, they offer simplistic, easy to digest messages.
Well, they offered a narrative that was simple to understand.
Yeah, exactly. And it's oftentimes based on pure nonsense, like completely false logic and thinking.
Yeah.
But it's easy to repeat back. You know what I mean? It's like saying, "Oh yeah, why is shit costing me more? Oh, it's because of the border crossing."
Well, it's for the border crossing. It's for socialism. It's for all these. They'll blame anything on Biden's administration.
Yeah.
And that was why immigration was a problem in the first place, was because they made immigration the reason for the economy in an indirect way. And
I'm sorry, they made immigration the reason for the economy?
Partially, yeah. They're coming in and violent or crime and stuff. Mm-hmm. They made it sound like crime was a problem.
So you're saying the
safety and economy.
MAGA was blaming the illegal immigration for the bad economy.
Yeah. Okay. I think that was a big part of it, and it doesn't make sense, but they're saying, they're saying when people are feeling it in their pocketbooks, this is the reason.
Yeah.
And Democrats kind of the only things I've heard was Trump's a terrible guy because he said this, he said that. Yeah. And, when you don't focus on policies to help working class people, a lot of people don't really care about that because at the end of the day, whatever Trump says or does, if he's going to give policies or he's going to do stuff which are going to help them in their pocketbooks, that's what they're going to feel like is better. And that's why I think a lot of Latinos may be turned. They're not a monolith, they're a huge group of people that come from all walks of life.
Yeah, of course. We can't classify everyone, every Hispanic or Latin person.
So a lot of people, just like anyone else, they're going to feel it in their pocketbooks too. And
but what I'm saying is that attitude is absolutely moronic.
Well, let me give you this stat. In the Bronx district where Ocasio-Cortez was, Ocasio-Cortez won, right?
Yeah. But there was Trump voters.
But people voted for Trump 25% increase.
All right.
Increase for the Republican, even though overwhelmingly Ocasio-Cortez won.
Yeah.
So I think there's
you know what I say to them? Good luck with your relatives getting deported.
Well, unfortunately, they are the ones that voted, and I think it's not really, you can't blame the voters. It's really up to the person running to earn people's votes. I'm tired of people saying, "Oh, it's because of these group of people. They didn't vote right." Well, they're free to vote how they choose,
of course. But it's
up to you to win their vote.
Clearly, there was a huge mistake done by Democrats in terms of messaging. Right? It wasn't clear. It wasn't focused. It was not simple enough for the average idiot on the street to just sort of easily digest. I get that. But that said...
Did they learn anything from 2016?
That said, okay, you as a relatively intelligent human being, you have to vote for your best interests, right? And as we've maintained pretty much throughout this entire discourse, people vote against their own goddamn interests all the time.
That's true.
Simply because they're moved by emotion or moved by baseless arguments made by MAGA, right? That, oh, you're paying this much for X because of other people. Once again, the scapegoating argument. So what I'm saying is, it's like people need to wake the fuck up and just at least read a couple articles or try to talk to people and ask, what do I need to do? What was best for me? I think that is what's going on. People are making these rash decisions based on illegitimate sources of information, maybe.
Well, a lot of people are, not, they didn't go to college and they just have regular jobs that take a lot of their time.
It's not even about college.
Or they don't really know.
It's like paying attention. It's about paying attention.